I took our close rate from 20% to 70% in our agency, added $96,000 in recurring revenue in just 4 months. And I used the exact sales deck to close over 800 high ticket clients, making millions of dollars from it. And today, I'm giving you that exact sales deck for free. Not some recycled cookie cutter template. This is the real deal, the battle tested deck that I used on every sales call to predictably close high ticket deals. And I'm not just handing you the deck. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it step by step. You'll see how it works. You'll see how to structure your sales calls around it and exactly how to customize it so you can plug in your logo, your brand, your services, and your pricing and start using it tomorrow. As long as you follow the framework, I guarantee that you will close more deals. If you're running sales calls without a dialed in sales deck, I guarantee that you are leaving money on the table, period. When I first launched my agency, I made the same mistake. I grabbed some generic sales deck from a coaching program, I threw my offer on it, and I hoped for the best. And guess what? It didn't work at all. It had no strategy, no sales psychology, and no real conversion power. And after 5 months of struggling to close deals, I realized the problem wasn't in my offer, it was my sales process. So I rebuilt my entire sales deck from scratch. I spent years refining it, optimizing every slide, every transition, every talking point until it became a closing machine. And now I'm going to give it to you. All right, let's dive in. So a few things that I will say before we start. This is a very fancy looking sales deck, and I actually prefer more minimalistic sales decks. In fact, all of them that I've ever used in any of my businesses are way more basic than what I'm sharing with you here today. But, for the purpose of giving you something that looks nice and looks professional, I have my team throw this together. If you take this actual template and use it, what I would say is you can take it as it is, but there are going to be several parts throughout this. Number one, there's going to be text in red. The text in red is not part of the actual final deck. You're going to want to remove that, delete it. This is just instructional, so you understand when you're going through and creating this. And a lot of what I put in here is template based, right? So it's just templates so you can go in and replace it with your business name, with your logo, with your own verbiage, with your own product. But again, the design of the deck is far less important than the actual substance, than the framework, than the flow of it, keeping your prospects engaged and telling a story, providing value or helping them see the destination, the vacation that you're going to take them on, how to get to the destination. All of that is way more important when we're talking about actually closing deals than how pretty it looks or how nice it looks. But for the sake of making it look nice, I had my team throw it together so it looks nice. But I'm telling you, a lot of the sales decks that I used were very basic, plain black background. I like to go black on white, but plain black background, words on it, and maybe an image here and there, right? So let's jump in. Now, the opening page, this is actually not really required. Like, you actually don't need this, but I put it in there because it can be a nice touch. And I know a lot of us like to have kind of like an opening title slide, right? But what I would tell you on this slide is the mistake that agencies make. They put their logo, they put their name, they put a tagline, they put a picture of themselves or their team or something like that. What's the most important thing about this slide is the unique mechanism. So if you don't know what that is really just the name of your product or service and how you get them the result. I was watching a video and somebody said your unique mechanism should be something that you came up with that sounds very clever, and that you can't Google. You can't Google it and figure out what it is, because if you can, then it's not unique. It's not unique to you, and they're going to go Google it and be like, well, I already know what that is, or other companies have it, right? So if you don't have one, that's a whole another video for another day, but you should label your product and you should have a unique mechanism. I'll give you an example. My company was named Elevate. Our unique mechanism or our product was Project Gold, right? So on this slide, I would have our logo, our name, our little tagline. I actually probably wouldn't even put that. If it was me, I would just have Project Gold, right? And that's it. And that would be it for this slide. You're creating intrigue with the way that you're going to get them the result, right? Moving to the second slide. And before I get into this one, I'll say this deck is not going to be 40 slides or anything like that. Now, it is about 20 something, but that's only because certain slides have duplicates for animation purposes. So like it'll show words and then more words and more words. And that's just how I use Canva. But I know PowerPoint, you could do it different ways. So there is not a lot here. There maybe is 15, maybe 20 slides of real substance here. And that's intentional. The only thing that we put in this sales deck are slides that are telling a story,
creating value, showing them the destination that we're going to get them to, and proactively overcoming objections. There are so many sales decks out there. In fact, I watched a video not too long ago of an agency sales deck that somebody created and gave away free on YouTube. And it was all about like the design and how it looked and like the headline. And that is not the purpose of a sales deck. Nobody cares. Your prospects don't care. The purpose of it is to do those things, to overcome their objections, to make them trust you, to build value, to show them something unique, and have them believe that this is the product that's going to get them the result in their business. They don't care about your colors. They don't care about your logos. They don't care about the flow of it, right? So that's why I came up with a framework that made sense from a sales psychology perspective, and I don't care about any of that other stuff, even though we made this one look nice. So, all right, let's get back to it. So here we got slide number 2. And we have our red font that we would delete. We would put our logo. And what we did here is most agencies or most sales decks, they open up with like a founder story or why we got into this business or why we're helping chiropractors or gym owners. Once again, boring and can lose their attention right away. So you want to think of your second slide, your opening slide here, as a hook, like you would when you're running paid ads or you're creating organic content. We either want to ask a question, we want to give them a pattern interrupt here, or create some pain or relate to them, right? So the example that I used here is most businesses think that they need more leads. The real issue is they need better conversion systems, right? So they might be coming from another agency thinking like, well, I'm not getting enough leads because I was getting more leads and I'm closing at 10% or 15% or 20% lead to close. Then if we got more leads, we would have more customers, right? And the message here could be, and this could frame the entire conversation, they actually don't need more leads. They need a better conversion system for the leads that they're already getting, right? So now we're separating us from other agencies they've worked with or other lead gen service or products that they've tried out, right? So purpose of this slide, hook, engage, pattern interrupt, don't bore them. You can ask a question here. It can be a rhetorical question like this one, but keep them engaged right away because there's a lot of opportunities to lose them. Next slide. We are going into the framework now. And the second part of the framework, the first was the opening. The second part is the big problem. What's holding them back? And here we want to agitate the pain. So we can touch on 3 pain points. That's what we would do. We would talk maybe about wasted ad spend, right? They're spending money on leads that they can't convert, inconsistent, right? They get a lot of leads and not a lot of leads, and they're getting a poor ROI. And then, we make a statement like most businesses lose X amount of dollars per month without knowing it. I failed to mention this, but I also have the framework that goes into more detail in a Word document that I'll share with you so you can give your salespeople an idea of what they should be talking about on these slides. But what we're doing here is we're addressing the elephant in the room, right? What is holding them back from getting the result that they want? And then we're agitating that pain even more, okay? Number 3, we're going to move to the vision. And by the way, each of these steps in the framework might be 2 or 3 slides for you. Now, don't bloat your sales deck. Put in what's important and make your point and then move on, right? Don't add stuff to add stuff because just making it longer doesn't mean that you're making it better. In fact, there's an opportunity to lose them. So number 3, the vision. So now we're moving to the third step in the framework. What is possible if they solve this problem, right? And the way that we do this is immediately by going into stories with people that are like them. We call these case studies or success stories. So we have a picture here of one of our clients. And we tell a story of, let's call this guy Jacob. We were spending $10,000 a month and barely breaking even. After implementing our unique mechanism, it would be in his words, hit $50,000 a month in profit within 90 days. And then I wouldn't just quote that and move on. I would tell this story in a more realistic, relatable way. So like, hey, it was about 8 months ago when I first met Jacob and had a conversation, and he was struggling, spending $10,000 a month in ads and they weren't even breaking even, and he couldn't figure it out. And his other marketing company just said, keep spending more and keep spending more. And we immediately identified some things that were, causing lower conversion rates or whatever it may be. And after working with Jacob and, he pulled his weight as well, we implemented this system, we changed X, Y, and Z, and within 90 days, they hit $50,000 in monthly profit from that $10,000 in ad spend. They're still with us. He's a great guy. I talk to him like on a monthly basis or every other week or whatever. So make it a real story, right? I mean, tell the story of this person. but have the picture and have the quote so they can relate to him, right? Trying to think if there's anything else here I want to share. Oh, the important thing for your salespeople or for you is that you're telling real stories here that are relatable to them so they feel like their problem is similar, right? And there's commonality between them, and they too can get the same result if they do the same things with us that we did for Jacob, right? And then we double down on one more. I would always have at least 2 of these stories and tell these stories right away. Have them be a little bit different, even though we put the same quote in here, because you're going to put your own language in here. And again, you're going to delete all the red out of here, but have a new quote, have a different person, tell a slightly different story, happy success story, right? Walk them through it, follow that same framework. And then once you've told them 2 stories so they can see themselves in that person's shoes and getting the same result, we're going to go to number 4, which is why this works, the secret sauce. And this is our unique mechanism. So this is just a made up example here, right? We use the Omni Growth system, which attracts, converts, and scales. Most agencies just run ads. We optimize the full customer journey. Boom. Oh, let's jump back. So this is introducing them to the unique mechanism that we created that is going to solve their problems, right? So it's like, this is the last thing you want your prospects to think or believe is that you are just another marketing agency that is going to do the same thing the last marketing company did, but better, right? Even if you're better, their perceived likelihood of success is very low if you are just saying, we're going to do the same thing, we're better. So you have to introduce them to a unique mechanism and a system that you've created that solves the problem and also simultaneously highlights the mistakes that they have been making, right? Or the things or the ignorance that they have around getting the result that they want. So now we stay in number 4, why this works. And here, if you want, is the time to insert a short founder story. So why are you helping gyms? Why are you helping chiropractors? Why did you start your marketing agency? What I'll say is this is actually not needed. We think telling this powerful story is adding value to the person on the other side. But the truth is that prospect is just trying to see if they believe that what you have and what you do is going to solve their problem and get the result. The story of the founder is not important. We overvalue this by so much. And I myself did the same thing. I remember when I created my welcome email, I had this bloated long welcome email that was all about me. And one of my clients who appreciate them was like, I don't care about this. I just wanted to get to step 1 to see what I need to do for onboarding. So if you really want to put this in here, this is the opportunity to do it. But I'm telling you, keep it short, keep it sweet, and move on. And I guarantee if you have this in here, the prospect will not stop you and ask questions or will not dive any deeper in this because they don't want to talk about it. They want to find out more about the product. So, all right, enough about that. And then here is where we are going to show our unique mechanism, and we're going to break it down into 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. It doesn't matter. These can be steps. These can be pillars. These can be secrets, okay? This is very important. So I'm going to take a minute on this. It doesn't matter how many steps or pillars. It doesn't matter what you call them, whether they're steps, pillars, or secrets. For example, Russell Brunson always uses the term secrets, right? A lot of larger companies use the term pillar. These are our pillars or our core pillars or whatever, or steps. It honestly doesn't matter. But what you're doing here is you're showing that you have a system, and that system is the unique mechanism that we have introduced them to, and the system altogether is what gets them the result, right? Because once again, we don't want them to think we're a Facebook ads agency or we're an SEO agency or an e-com agency and we just run ads better than everybody else. We want them to believe that is one part of it, right? And when I say want them to believe, like there has to be truth to this. You really have to have a system. But every agency, if you zoom out and you look at what you do and you look at all your different services together, you already have a system. You may have just not given it a name and you may have not broken it out into pillars, but you definitely have one. So you might need to take some time and extract that and figure out what that is. And then you want to articulate it here. It can be more pillars or it can be less, right? It can be 2. It doesn't make a difference. What's important here is that you explain how they go together. You explain why they get the result, and you show the prospect clear journey of we're going to do this thing. So like here, I think we said we're going to attract, convert, and then we're going to scale, right? So like pillar 1 would be attract. Pillar 2 would be convert, right? And then pillar 3 would be scale. So we'd have to explain, and that's a very basic way to do it. Like hopefully yours is a little bit more sophisticated, but if it even is that, right, that still is a system. Hope that makes sense. Okay, let's keep moving. So now we're going to go into the first pillar and we're going to break it down, right? We're going to give that pillar a headline. We're going to give a description. We're going to explain what happens at that stage with that pillar or that secret or that step. And then we're simply going to go to the next one. So here it goes. It changed over here, if you didn't see that, from 1 to 2, right? Because it's the same slide. So now we're going to the next pillar and we're going into that. And by the way, these pillars might have multiple slides each. That's okay if you can't explain everything in one slide. Once again, just be careful about bloating your deck with things that are not valuable and not actually moving the prospect closer to making a decision. But if it's valuable and it's meaningful, put it in there, right? And then we're going to go to number 3. And then after we do that, we're still on number 4, why this works. We're going to go back to case studies again. Okay, so we had a couple case studies in the beginning. Now we're going to touch on case studies again, and we're going to tie this to the unique mechanism, to our pillars, to our system, right? So we're going to have Alan here, and Alan actually implemented these steps in these systems and saw this result. And he even shared with us that, this is just an example, he even shared with us that the previous agencies he had worked with did not have these steps or this system or did not do these things. Therefore, just running ads did not get him the result that they want, right? And then we're going to do it again. We're going to have 1 or 2 more stories tying to our unique mechanism, tying to our secrets and our system. And then I always recommend, this is again just a template example, throwing a bunch of pictures of case studies, of slides, of testimonials. Just put their picture. If you want to put a little quote below them, that's great. But like if you have 10, if you have 20, if you have 50, just put them all on this slide and overwhelm the prospect a little bit and just say, it's not only Alan, it's not only Jacob. There are dozens or there are hundreds or there are thousands of people that we've implemented our omni-channel growth system for that have gotten the same result. I'm going to pause here really quick because I know I would have a question if I was starting out, and that would be, what if I don't have any case studies or testimonials? I'll tell you the truth, it is going to be harder for you to close deals because it's powerful. And that's why case studies and testimonials on our landing pages and in our sales deck, and that's why we talk about them in the sales process, because human psychology, sales psychology, people being able to see themselves in another person's shoes, getting the same result that they got, and then having relatability is an emotional trigger. And I'll say this, bad salespeople sell products. They just, hey, we have this product, right? Good salespeople sell the journey, the destination, stories, right? Amazing salespeople, the best of the best, sell emotions. They sell on emotions. And case studies create emotions. And internally, customers, prospects can see themselves going through that same journey. That's why when you have case studies, and even more importantly, when you have references that you can connect them with that they can talk to, your close percentage will increase dramatically. So my advice to you, if you have no case studies, you have no testimonials to put in here, you better go find a couple clients that you can work with for free, or you better go talk to the clients you have currently, and you better extract some case studies and testimonials for you. And by the way, if you don't know how to do that, that's another system that we build for our clients. We tell them how to get more case studies, how to get testimonials in a non-awkward, non-weird, pushy way, just like a natural interview way. That's something that we do for our clients. So go get some case studies and testimonials. All right, moving on. Number 7, the ROI. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this, but this is one of the most powerful slides that I had in my sales deck. And I'll also say this part could be simple but confusing. And if at any point you're building the sales deck out and you don't really know what you should put in or you're struggling with it, my team at Limitless, we literally do this for agencies. And when I say we do this, we will build your entire sales deck from beginning to end, completely customized for your agency. We will refine it. We will make sure it's perfect. We will give you the framework for your agency so that you or your sales team can go out and use this and hopefully can have the same effect on you that it had on me, which is taking our closing percentage from 20% all the way to 70%. So that is something we can build for you, complete from beginning to end, from the design to the verbiage to the copy to the images to the calculator, like literally everything for you. And if you want to inquire or know how we do that, there should be a link somewhere around this video that you can click. You can schedule an appointment. You can learn more about how we do that. But back to the deck, this is something that you can do completely yourself. So we have an ROI calculation deck. And in the framework that I'm going to give you, there are qualifying questions that you will ask before you even go into your sales process. So big disclaimer, if we've gotten this far and you didn't know you're supposed to ask qualifying questions to your prospects before you dive into the sales process, yes, you need to do that. And I actually give you in the framework, I give you some suggested questions that you can ask them. But one of the most important ones that you will ask, and you will now be equipped and armed with this information once you get to this slide, is what is the LTV for a new customer for them, right? So let's use chiropractors for example, because it's just easy. So if you're a chiropractor, I would say, what is the LTV for a new chiropractic patient for you, right? And most of the time they know that number and they understand it, and they'll just say, oh, it's like $1,500. But let's say they don't know. Just help them do the math in their head really quick. Say, okay, if we run ads for you and we get you a new customer, how much does that customer typically pay you on a monthly basis, right? And if they're like, well, about like $250. Great. How long on average do patients or clients stay with you? And a lot of times they'll say, well, forever. Most of them stay forever, right? It's like, yeah, but some of them leave. So give me a general window of when they would leave. And if they say, well, 8 months, right? So now we're going to go, I think I said $250, right? So we're going to go 250 times 8 months. And we're going to say, great, your value is $2,000, right? We're just doing math there. So your LTV on average is $2,000. Is that fair? And again, we would have done this at the beginning before we even got started. So we would already have this number established and agreed upon. Don't do it at this slide. It seems too reactive. And part of the purpose of the way that we set this sales deck up and the way that we ask the qualifying questions is not to ever be reactive. We want to be proactive. We want to proactively overcome their objections by addressing things in the deck so that when they bring them up, we can just reference that slide back. And I'm going to show you how we do that at the end. So stick with me if you're going through this, because at the end, I'm literally going to show you how by going through the sales deck, we've overcome every single objection that any client will bring up to you, right? So you can have a calculator, like an Excel calculator actually built in, or you could just stop on this slide and you can do math with them like we just did. So I think I came up with 2,000, but let's say it was $1,000. So if their customer LTV is $1,000 and we can get them 4 new customers per month, very modestly, that is $4,000 per month in top line revenue that we're adding to their business eventually. Like they might just collect less cash than that right now, but eventually, right, they're going to collect $4,000. So we're adding $4,000 in top line revenue with every new customer that we bring in for them. You have to understand that math and they have to understand that math, because if they think, no, if you get me 4 customers, that's 250 times 4 for the month. That's only $1,000. They don't understand business, I would say. They don't realize that each one of those new customers is going to pay them an additional $750 over the next 4 months or 5 months or however much those people are valued at for them, right? So correct them, because that is a stake, right? First of all, they don't understand how to calculate the ROI in their business, and you want them to clearly see the value in working with you. So now, and I think the example I had here was 4 new customers at 1,000, and let's say they on average stood for 12 months. So that means we have 4 times 12. We're adding, if we can get them 4 new customers, we're adding $48,000 in new revenue, right? Per month for them. And now what I would always do here is say 4 new customers per month is actually like our bottom 10%. Like that is not a question whether we are going to be able to find you 4 new customers a month through marketing. The question is, are you going to be one of our top performing clients that we can get 10 or 15 or 20 new clients for? Because again, I'm pulling on their emotion, right? I'm showing them the possibility, the journey that we could take them on. If we have months where we sign 15 new customers instead of 4, what does that number turn into here, right? And what does that do for their revenue, right? A lot of times prospects and customers don't clearly see the ROI in working with a marketing agency because we don't do the math with them. So this slide shows them that this service not only pays for itself, but generates them a very healthy ROI, right? So very important that you articulate this correctly. And once again, not only, the limitless agencies that we work with, not only do we give them our framework and give them our sales decks, but we guide them and we coach them exactly how to go through every single slide so that they are improving their close percentage and ultimately, getting the prospect to say yes at the end of the sales deck, which is the whole purpose of this. Number 8, we need to make it a no-brainer for them now, right? So we've showed the value, we have established, and I don't know why I went from 4 to 7, but the frameworks are broken out correctly and we didn't skip any here, so don't worry. The offer, we're going to make it a no-brainer. So here, most businesses take years to get marketing right, and they waste X amount of money on trial and error, working with agencies that are unable to produce an ROI, losing sales because their marketing system is broken. Instead, we can install a done-for-you proven system so you can focus on closing sales. That's what this slide might look like. What we're doing here is we're overcoming the inaction, or I need to think about it, or I'll get back to you on this, right? We're creating urgency for them to make a decision today, right now, as soon as possible, because the longer they wait, the more money that we're moving. And again, there's a lot more to unpack there. And then we recap everything they're going to get. So they're going to get the Omni Growth System. What's the other service or product, right? Or we're just going to break down the pillars here. You're getting this pillar, this pillar, this pillar, and under those, here's the service and products that you're getting. So now we're talking about service and products, but we're just doing it to recap and to show them everything that they're getting. So this is a complete no-brainer for them, right? And then we are showing them the support. So here's what you're going to get. And again, these are just templates that we entered here. So here you're going to be talking about your client success manager, how you communicate with them, how quickly you get back to them, what other support channels you have. Do you have any training? Do you have any guides and resources? Do you have any proven frameworks and things that you're going to give them, like I'm giving you here, right? Do you throw in-person events? Do you have live Zoom coaching calls, right? Do they have is there a community or other people they'll connect with? You have, a Facebook group, whatever it may be. Show them all the support here. So we're just value stacking here, right? You get all these pillars. So it's like cost of inaction. We need you to do this now. And here's all the stuff you get. And here's all the support that you're going to get in working with us, right? And then drop your guarantee. Big mistake that I made for a long time was waiting till after I give my price to share my guarantee. That's a mistake. As soon as you give your price, most of the conversation is over. So everything you say after pricing, it's harder for them to absorb. So give all the valuable things and everything you need to share with them before pricing. Now, this is an if applicable slide. If you don't have a guarantee, then you'll skip over this slide. But if you do have a guarantee, you'll insert your guarantee here. And my suggestion with guarantees, some people run ads with a guarantee because they feel they have to, but then if somebody comes to them organically, they don't talk to, or someone gets referred to them, they don't mention their guarantee because they don't want to honor it. Again, this isn't a conversation this is a whole nother video that we can create. But if you have a guarantee, I believe you need to offer it to everybody for a few reasons. Number one, to be fair, if that client talks to another client and they somehow figure out this client got a promise or guarantee and they didn't, that's going to leave a very, very bad feeling or a taste in their mouth about your agency. And the last thing that you want to do is for someone to sign with your agency and then see your ad 3 months later and then go back to you and say, why didn't I have this guarantee? I want this guarantee. Give me the guarantee, right? Because now you're playing this hiding behind your contract game if you didn't put it in your contract. We didn't talk about it on the sales call. It's not in the contract. It's yeah, but you advertise it and you give it to everybody else. So I made this mistake multiple times. Make your guarantee so you can deliver on it most of the time, if not all the time. Be willing to back it up and use it as a tool to close deals, right? This is helping them overcome the risk objection, or I don't trust you, or I'm not sure you can get the result. It's we have a guarantee to back all that up. So even if whatever hypothetical scenario you're thinking about, Mr. Prospect, does happen, even though it's very unlikely, we have this language to make sure, guarantee that there will be a result. And if we don't get that result, here's what you get, right? So my advice is you don't have to have a guarantee, But if you do have a guarantee that you're running in ads or elsewhere, make sure you put your guarantee in and make sure you put it before your price presentation, because it's harder for them to hear after the fact, after you've dropped their price. Then they're just thinking, can I afford this? Do I want to say yes, right? You want to make it, after we get the pricing, we want to make it as simple as possible for them to say yes. So give them everything they need to know front. So we got our guarantee here, and then we're going to our value stack, right? And let's all learn from Russell Brunson here. Don't just throw it all on the screen. This is why there's multiple slides. So we're going to go through, we have our main system. In this example, it was the omni-channel, whatever we called it, right? We're going to list that off. We're going to show the price and everything that comes with it. Then we're going to show the next pillar, service, secret, system, whatever it may be. We're going to list off the perceived value of that and everything that comes with it. Make the retail value or the price, the value stack here, much more than your product, but reasonable, so they don't think you're full of it, right? So they believe you. So we're listing off everything, right? Here we accidentally left 20,000 in there for whatever that may be. So if it's worth 20,000, make it 20,000, right? And then we got this one at $10,000, and those are probably a little high for what your service is. But just list off prices that are more than your product. Like here's a general guideline. Anywhere from 3 to 4 times more than what you're actually charging them is probably believable to them and will help them see the value, right? So then we say, if you add all this up, the total value of what you're getting is this much, but your investment with us is this much, right? And we just drop our price right here. Don't make this slide look like, this is what Russell Brunson actually does really well. Don't make this slide look like catalog, or like, if you were to go to like restaurant and they show you a menu and it's like this and this and this and this, right? Like, show this value stack and then just boom, hit them with the price. And again, there's a whole nother video can be made around pricing, but I believe making it very simple. So if you have multiple prices here, maybe you use another slide altogether, but I would, depending on where you are in your agency journey, I would think about how you can simplify this so that they can comprehend everything and make a decision right here or as soon as possible. When you start giving 3, 4, 5 different options for pricing, one with a contract, one without, one with, like, you confuse your prospect, right? Simplicity sells and scales, right? So what I did initially with my agency, I had one price, one option. Then we went to a paid in full and a monthly option, and that was it. So present these, make it clear. Value stack, show the value, compare them, show discrepancy between what they would pay for all these things separately and what the value you're actually giving to them, right? And then again, if you want to have this, we can give them kind of like a what happens next. So we hit them with our price, right? And the only other slide you want to have after this, if any, you don't even need one. Like, you could just stay on this slide and your next slide could just say any questions, all right? Or you could just stay here and it could say any questions at the bottom. You don't need to have an additional slide. But if you're going to have one, what I would do is I would walk them through what happens next. Hey, all right, we're going to onboard you. You're going to meet your CSM. You're going to get a welcome email. We're going to create your account. We're going to form your campaigns. We're going to launch, and then we're going to continue to optimize, right? This is the process. It happens anywhere from 1 to 11 days or 1 to 7 days or whatever. I would recommend trying to get your clients live in a shorter amount of time. So you can have this and show them what the next steps are. So again, they feel confident and, okay, when I pay them, this is exactly what's going to happen next, right? Or you could just get rid of this slide. You can answer their questions here, get them to commit, and then you still need to give them these steps. So maybe you keep the slide, but you don't share it, or you just have it in your head. Once you get them to commit, or they're on the fence, you say, hey, look, we're going to take your payment now. And then what we're going to do is, and you walk them through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it may be. You don't want to, we want to be careful of buyer's remorse. So what walking them through all the steps does is help them feel confident that the money I just paid, these guys are professionals, they're buttoned up, and now I know exactly what's going to happen next. Have you ever bought something and then they just like took your money and you just like, that's it? You didn't hear anything, you didn't know, you didn't get an email, and you're just like, what the hell? Like, okay, so what do I do now? Like, I just gave you my money, right? You don't want your customers to have that feeling. So just be very clear in what the next steps are. All right. And last is the objection slide. This is internal only. This is not for them. Going through the entire deck that we just went through, we addressed every objection you could think about, right? In multiple different ways. Because really there's like 3 objections that all fall under one big umbrella. But I would recommend creating this reference key for your salespeople or yourself, so that when you get to the price presentation, if they give you an objection, I don't think I need this. Is it worth it? What makes you different? Why should I trust you? I don't trust you. What if this doesn't work? Is it worth the money? Is it too expensive? I'll think about it. And actually, my agency got this to it was like 3 pages of objections, because every time we got a new one, we went back and looked at our slides. We refined them to make sure that we proactively address that objection, and then we can reference it back. So let me give you an example of how this works, right? So what if this doesn't work? Slide 7. Right? So now we get to the price presentation and they're like, yeah, but I just don't really know. What if this doesn't work? I say, hey, that's a fair concern, right? Let's go back. Where was our guarantee? Right here. Let's go back to our guarantee, right? Because we're saying we've already addressed this with you. Let's go back to our guarantee, and then you reassure them if we don't get the result, here's what happens. So this is something you don't need to worry about. And this is why proactively overcoming objections is so powerful. Because we don't seem reactive. Like we're just trying to get their money. We're telling them look, excuse me, I get your concern and I understand, but I've already showed you that this is not something you need to worry about, right? It's too expensive. We have our price justification. I need to think about it, right? I actually think that would be the inaction slide. So again, make sure your key is accurate here. We just threw this template together for you guys, but this couldn't have been the one I actually used in my agency because I sold my agency, whatever. So have these ready, and over time, you or your salespeople will just know which slides to go to. But in the beginning, when you're learning or when you're hiring new people or you're bringing in new salespeople, you want them to be able to go, I don't trust you. Boom. Slide 6. Let me prove why you should trust me. Here's all the clients we worked with. Here's all the testimonials. Here's the references. There's no reason you shouldn't trust us. I wouldn't trust us too if we didn't have this stuff, right? But here's all the case studies. And as you get new objections, or let's say you can do coaching, you should be doing coaching calls with your salespeople. Ask them why they're not closing deals and ask them the objections they're getting. And then collaboratively as a team, you find out ways to overcome those objections. And then you just go back in your deck and you build the overcome into your deck proactively so that if the next prospect was thinking about that same objection, you already have overcome that objection with them. So there's a lot more to this. And, once again, I'll close with this. I've given you everything you need here to take and at least build your sales deck with a real framework that actually works. A lot of people just threw their sales deck together without any rhyme or reason, or they took it from some coaching group or something like that, and they never really thought about it. A lot of thought went into this framework and how it's set up. And I know that it works. It's not overly fancy. There's nothing special here. It's just the way that we set it up, the way that it flows, and the way that it proactively overcomes a lot of the objections. It works well. Now, if you don't put this together right, or you're really bad at sales and you don't know how to have conversations and you don't have your pricing right, or your product is bad, this is not going to fix those things. If you're interested or you need help, that's what we do at Limitless Agency. And again, there will be a link somewhere in and around this video that you can click, you can meet with us, and you can find out how we can essentially become your partner and help you close more deals, scale your agency, fix everything that you would need to close more deals. In addition to this deck, we can do for you, and we can walk you through, because we've already built several agencies. I myself scaled my agency to millions of dollars and sold it for millions of dollars. So I've already encountered a lot of the problems and challenges that you are going to run into or you're currently running into. And we just show you how to get past those a lot quicker to save you time, money, and energy so you can make more money and scale your agency. When it comes to the sales deck, this right here gives you everything you need to go build it. If you want our help implementing it, there will be a link in and around this video. You can click it. You can book a call with our team, and we'll go from there. All right. So I hope this was valuable. I hope it was helpful. And also, if you want the actual framework and you want the sales deck, the actual template, so you can just plug your logo in, click the link in and around this video, submit your information, and we'll send it over to you. All right.